I had my 1,000-footer, the Belle River, down for just some tinkering and general maintenance, working on the wiring and such and checking out to make sure the engines all ran well. And after I got it all finished, which is beyond the point you see here, I was messing around with some things inside of it and I bumped the throttle. And when I bumped the throttle, the two engines fired up like they were asking, take me out and sail me. I looked outside, the weather was perfect. The water on Chesapeake Bay was glassy, the water at our little inlet was dead calm. So, I figured, why not? I built her in 1985 and she's never really sailed. So this is a good time to do some sea trials. Here's what they looked like. Now doing this, I'm primarily looking for, do the rudders respond well? Does it turn well? Is it stable? And can it actually sail without sinking? Frankly, I always sail it around waiting for something to break. In this case, it sailed fairly well. So I said, why not take folks on board and let them ride the Belle River back when she was actually called the Belle River. Now, for those of you who may be seasick or are prone to seasickness, this may not be your best video to watch. But you can see here, we're on the same pond, and I can tell you're looking at that inlet and you're saying, take her out on the big water, take her out in the open. Well, if you take a look at these rocks, you'll see that the tide is out. There's the high water line right there. So the result is, if I tried to run this boat with her fairly deep draft through that little inlet, there are some very large boulders right underneath the surface there. I wouldn't clear them, so I'd probably take the bottom out of her. Thus, that's one strike against taking her out in the open. But I was tempted. She ran quite well. Now, the Belle River, I built her, like I said, in 1985. And she's 3.27 inches equal to 100 feet. She also started out with just one engine. And that wasn't really enough to push her around. So I gave her a new engine and tried it again in 1988. That didn't work either. So I installed twin engines in her, two RE14s. For those of you who are model boaters and model makers, you know what those are. And they're actually Mabuchi RE14s. And I did that in April of 1990. And I tried to make them counter-rotating props. It didn't work out. So they're rotating props, both going in the same direction. They are triple silenced. And I did some radio work on her, converted her to a different type of radio. I had to do some bottom work on her too in 1997. And then I found that she didn't run well on just one AA cell or even two AA cells. But those two engines ran really good on one C cell battery. So that's what she's running on right now. Her latest improvement was just this month. And what I did was, or at least in December of 2022, I switched her hatches from being screw-down hatches to having magnetic hatches. And they're much more convenient. I use little super magnets for that, and it works quite well. So here we have some pretty pictures. If you look closely, you can see the moon in the background coming up. The water was smooth as glass. It's very rare on Chesapeake Bay that we have water that's smooth like this. So I took advantage of it. I also took advantage and had my daughter, my oldest daughter, out there doing the onshore camera work. So you'll probably see her and I as I bring this thing in and try to dock it. No, that's not my house in the background. Here I am, wearing my old wreck walking diving boots with the turned up toes. My daughter teases me about that. She's got my phone and she's taking the external videos that you saw earlier. We're going to try and dock this thing, and it's just not going to work out. She joked that I should get a tug. I said I'd rather have a bow thruster. I wore my diving boots because the last time we were doing this, I slipped on a rock, put my feet into the bay, and the water was so nasty, I couldn't wear the shoes anymore. So, it looks like your ride on the bay has come to an end. And we're ashore. I'm running out of battery here too. If you take a look closely at the top of the pilot house, you're going to see 1, 2, 3 extremities. This first one is actually the boat's antenna. That wire runs back and down into the hull. This second one is just for show. This one, however, comes in real handy for our camera work because it contains one of these magnets. The magnet is on the cam. They stick together and it's not coming off. Very handy. Now in the video you're going to see in a minute, you'll see that the cam looks like this. That's so I can see the light that flashes. It tells me the cam's running. And here we are, sailing away with our camera and catching all of that video that you just saw. Once again, the Belle River, like I said, was built by me in 1985. For no reason other than the fact that I didn't have a 1,000-footer in that scale. And other than coming down for occasional engine changes and modifications, it never really sailed. So today was the perfect day to do some sea trials on it. And I have to say it passed quite well. The only problem we had is during this filming right here, the battery started to go dead, and so the motors really slowed down. Strike two against trying to take it out on the open bay. If the motor had run down out there, it would have just sat out there floating. There's no way you're going wading into the bay in January. Look closely and you can see that blue LED flashing. It tells me that the cam is working. For those of you who have not seen my previous onboard videos, you may ask the question, where did that cam come from? How did I do that? How did I get this video? Well, the answer resides not in model boats or model trains. It resides in model rockets. The secret is this little tiny video camera. It's great resolution. It's a USB plug direct in and download to your computer after you've shot the video. And it came from here, the Astrocam by Estes. The rocket itself cost about $54 and comes with the camera. Frankly, the camera itself is worth $54 to $56 to $60, whatever they're charging for the whole kit. I personally will just shoot the rocket somewhere else. Notice that it's not a high-class kit. This is one of those buy it and fly it kits. You notice here they actually have the camera itself secured with a rubber band. Yeah, that'll be good for 2 or 3 flights. Picture the camera now dropping away from 900 feet of altitude and you having to search the field to find the bloody thing. Probably get rid of the rocket and just keep the camera.